beautiful time of the year is here. Week 1 of the NFL season is upon us. Welcome back to the weekly recess. We've had quite a recess since the 2023 season came to a close. But thank you for joining us again. Mitchell Lea alongside Tommy Grant and Brandon 2 joining us in place of Connor Vandermark, who will be back next week. Maybe we can get the 4 of us next week. You never know.
Oh, that'd be nice. But Connor's
guys,
also doing NFL draft stuff.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's. I think he said he had like 4 drafts this week.
Yeah, that's
this is dedicated. It's a very popular time to do fantasy drafts. All of mine were done either in August, or I had a draft that I did in May for a dynasty league. That Brandon, you're in that league too. So my drafts have been done, but a lot of people love to delay it until the last second possible, and I can't blame them.
I just drafted 5 minutes ago.
Oh, see, there you go. Yeah,
dedication. And he still showed up. Dedication.
It's like exactly. I'm drafting right now. You know.
Yeah.
But guys, the countdown's nearly over. Thursday we've got a game. Friday we've got a game. We've never had that before. A game in Brazil.
Then I was just gonna ask. That was an oddball. I don't remember.
A monopoly. I think they're just monopolizing the entire week. Like, shout out to all their girlfriends and significant others and whatnot. They have to deal with it. Like, that's painful.
Yeah, we've got to see. My fiance wants to see the new Beetlejuice movie, and so we're gonna have to go like Saturday at like 10 in the morning because I also still want to watch Texas and Michigan. That's a 12 o'clock game on Saturday, so we're figuring it out. We're maneuvering.
Decision in all American sports is big noon kickoff.
Yeah, I might have to miss the first half of that game, but guys, NFL is here, and we are going to talk about the games that we're the most excited about, but also it's prediction time. And let's start things off with what I consider to be the game of the week. I think most consider it to be the game of the week, and that's the first game. Baltimore Ravens at Kansas City Chiefs, rematch of last year's AFC Championship game. Lamar Jackson kind of does what Lamar Jackson has been prone to do in the playoffs, which is lay an egg. He officially came into the James Harden of the NFL moniker with that game last year. So it's a big game for the Ravens to kind of set the tone as far as, maybe beating a dominant team on the road. They added Derrick Henry this offseason. The Chiefs, a lot was said and done about them adding to their receiver core. Rashee Rice avoided a suspension. Hollywood Brown added, but he won't be suited up for game 1, but they will have the rookie Xavier Worthy. Brandon, what are your thoughts on this particular game?
I think it should be decently good. I'm excited to see guys like Worthy and new faces, see exactly what happens. But I'm excited just for kind of what to expect from the package of just Mahomes and whatnot, and just excited to see what it's gonna look like. And when we all know he's the best player in the NFL, so I'm just kind of excited for what exactly he can put on the table. If you had to ask me who's the odds to win NFL MVP, I think you would automatically say it's the best quarterback, and so the best quarterback is him. So yeah, I'm excited for that, and it should be a fun one because, when you get those two teams matched up, I think there's actually going to be a decent amount of defense as well, and it's going to be probably who has the ball last is going to win the game.
Yeah, that's a pretty good. That's usually a pretty good way to go about these games, but I just can't pick against the Chiefs in this game, which is funny because I picked against them in last year's opener, but they were also without Travis Kelce, they were without Chris Jones. So it was a very different Chiefs team, and I also think that this Chiefs squad is more equipped at wide receiver. You're not going to have the ball going through Kadarius Toney's hands right into a Lions defender for a pick 6 this year. And so I think that the Chiefs are going to be more of a fully operational Death Star as opposed to just kind of one that's putting the final pieces together to get to where they were in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, and I like Pacheco out of the backfield, but I don't know how much they're going to use him because if Worthy gets the production level that we're expecting him to get, and then Rashee Rice had probably one of the most efficient seasons last year. I can only see him getting better. And then, I mean, as much as people want to talk about Kelsey, like, is he going to retire? Is Travis going to follow his brother's footsteps and like retire at some point? Like, Travis Kelsey's still a top 3 tight end in football, maybe the best tight end in football still. So yeah, like you said, it's kind of fully operational Death Star on offense, and then the defense is actually like decently good. So I
I
think
think they're even better than that.
yeah, exactly. So I just think like there's a lot there, and that's kind of what I'm excited about. And if you remember back last year, wasn't like one of their D tackles like holding out and stuff like that. So
Yeah, Chris Jones.
exactly. Chris Jones is holding out, so they weren't fully operational until like probably week 4 or 5. Where like this year, it feels like they're like guns blazing. They're fully ready to go, all cylinders, turned on. And I think that's the fun part is everyone wants to talk about the QBs, and Lamar and Mahomes are definitely going to play like a huge factor in this game, and it's probably going to be who has the ball last. But at the end of the day, like I kind of trust the Chiefs offense more than I trust the Ravens offense. But I'm kind of excited for Derrick Henry and to see like how much of the workload he takes off of Lamar Jackson.
I have a lot of concerns about the Ravens' offensive line, but that has more to do with the pass game than the run game, because I just know that Lamar and Derrick Henry, they're going to have things schemed up so that they have holes to run through, and it's going to be an electric run game. But I've got the Chiefs. Connor's got the Ravens. Tommy, what do you have in this one?
I believe I put the Chiefs down as well. I mean, they've come off of 2 Super Bowl wins, so I mean, they're coming in strong. That's
Right.
all. That's all I know.
Brandon?
Yeah. I mean, I have the Chiefs. Like you said, it's hard to pick against them. Like, I wasn't like being facetious earlier. Like, Mahomes is the best player in football, and I think he's going to showcase that this game. Like, as much as the Lamar hype is there, and like people love Lamar Jackson, and I love Lamar Jackson, he's not Pat Mahomes, and I truly think this is going to come down to like who has the ball in the last 3 minutes of the game, and like who makes the drive down the field, and I think that's going to be the Chiefs. So I'm going with Chiefs.
All right, let's talk about Friday night's game. Packers and Eagles in Brazil. The rumors were that neither team could wear green. Apparently that is not true, because the Eagles will be wearing black. Packers will be wearing their green uniforms, or I think it's a white with green trim type situation, but there will be green involved.
Wait, is that why they picked those 2 teams to go to fucking Brazil? Is because they both have green in their?
I really hope not. But
I don't know.
Brush up on your Portuguese, guys.
Yeah.
Let's get ready to get down there.
Everyone's been told to stay in the hotel, basically. They're like, yeah, do this, but don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. So all the players are basically just like, yeah, I'm just going to chill at the hotel. I'm not going out at all because, I like my life.
A 5-star. They probably are.
So I'm here for some NFL education for a minute here. What the hell is the point of the international games? Is there an actual, like I know money. London has been a frequent
it's money
thing,
I mean,
but like
they're trying to grow the game so that people in like Germany and England and now Brazil watch, because football is a very American sport.
Well, yeah, no shit, we all know that. It's American. It's just hitting people back and forth.
And Roger Goodell is a capitalist son of a bitch, and so he would like it to be a more international sport. Hence why flag football is becoming an Olympic sport.
The U.S.'s like attempt at getting an international football league?
I don't know about an international football league, but just more of an international football.
That multiple times.
That didn't work.
It's like NFL Europe and stuff like that has already been a thing.
I look forward to seeing the crime reports out here this week.
Not to go too far into, but like as someone who like comes from more like a baseball perspective, like baseball is like a very global sport, and it feels like American football isn't. And I'm okay with like these international games, but yeah, Brazil's a weird choice for an NFL game. And honestly, the 3 London games or whatever the amount is this year that they have for the London games is also like, why are we sending teams to like Wembley Stadium? Like it just doesn't really fly with me. But I mean, it's all about money, is what it is. It's all about money.
It gives us earlier games. That's all that matters.
Yeah, well, the Friday night thing is just like they already have Thursday night. They already have Monday.
I
and
don't
now they're
mind
just
the Friday for
hijacking our
week
Friday.
1.
Like they're just hijacking it. Like
Hey, you give us a good game, and by all accounts, this should be a great game. Packers
right.
and Eagles.
This is
That's
like
my prediction.
this is like
This
the
is my
NFL's version of like the Netflix drop of here. You get like 4 episodes. Here, go.
Right.
yeah.
It's the drop of
This
all 4 seasons.
this is my prediction for the NFC Championship game right here.
No,
Packers and
that's a good one.
Eagles. And I have my prediction for NFL MVP is Jordan Love.
Okay. Yeah,
I think that Love ended
that's
the
good plus
season
odds.
on such a tear last year and looked damn near unstoppable in the playoffs to the point where I just kind of earlier in that game against the Niners, I just kind of resigned myself to, so the Packers are winning the Super Bowl this year. That's really interesting. And
He's
like
so
that didn't
improved.
happen. But he's
so
a
improved.
smart quarterback.
Right.
He knows how to manipulate the pocket in a way that makes a lot of sense. He has great chemistry with these young receivers. You know, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Dobbs, Dontavian Wicks. I
Why is
really
everyone
like
sleeping on their Packers receiving core? Like Watson and Dobbs.
because they don't have a guy that's, you know, a superstar
nasty.
just yet. But I think that Jaden Reed could be that guy. But the Eagles also this year, they add Saquon Barkley, which just felt like
That's just
you
like
want to talk about a
icing
fully
on top of like a diabetic cake. Like a cake
diabetic.
with so much sugar that you're like, let's just add more sugar and sprinkles. Like that's what Saquon is. It's like
This
let's
is
just
like-
add as much sugar as possible.
See, tomorrow Brandon and I are going to go to the movies, and beforehand we're probably going to go to the food court and get Chinese food to where they don't care about portions. They just don't. And they just keep stuffing the box full. That's what it feels like when the Eagles got Saquon Barkley. It's like,
There's like, here's 3 more egg rolls to go with your tray of food. Here's
this
egg
offense just got a top 5 running back in football. And they also, I mean, they lost Jason Kelsey, but I think that the Eagles are always equipped to handle offensive line losses because they drafted his replacement a few years ago in Cam Jurgens. They beefed up the secondary with drafting Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean or DeJean, or however the hell you say his name. I really like some of the stuff that the Eagles did, and I think that I'm picking the Eagles to win this game because at the end of last year, Jalen Hurts very clearly had an injury or something because he wasn't as willing to run, and when he did, he was kind of it just wasn't the same guy. This is Jalen Hurts week 1, fully healthy, fully ready to go, and I think that mixed with Saquon Barkley is one hell of a combination.
As someone who is rooting actively against Jalen Hurts in most fantasy football leagues, I was annoyed that they didn't ban the push yet. We're talking about structured rugby. It's not even, that's unstructured. That's not even what you do in rugby. You don't even like push or scrum forward. Like that's not even
the
like
Eagles play in Australia. They'll be like, hey, I recognize
that's not even a rugby like thing. Like they're doing something that's like never like been seen in like a contact sport like this. They're just like, let's just push dudes forward. So hopefully they ban the push at some point. Hot take, I think the push will be worse without Jason Kelsey. I think Jason Kelsey
that's fair to expect.
The manufacturer of the push. So I believe that Saquon Barkley is going to have like a top 2 running back productive season this year. I mean, you said earlier, a top 5 running back in the NFL for most of his career, and that's been with an absolutely horrific offensive line. And now he has one of the best offensive lines.
And no threat of a passing game either.
Right.
So
No
they
threat
could
of a
just stack
passing
the box
game.
against Saquon.
His entire career, I mean, at Penn State, I hate to say it, like at Penn State, he was running like circles around people in the backfield and stuff like that. So I just
having been to a number of Penn State games while he was there, because he went there at the same time my brother was there, and he is a fucking monster.
Yeah.
So I forgot that he got picked up by the Eagles, so that actually might change my prediction for week 1.
Yeah, No, I mean, I would change it right now. Like, I could see Saquon like scoring 3 touchdowns this week.
He was a monster.
Like the dude has been an athletic freak on every football field he's ever been on.
Yep.
And now he's on one of the best teams in the NFL. Like I was saying earlier, it's just they're adding more sugar to the cake. Like they're just like, let's put as much sugar as possible on this cake.
So you're on the Eagles as well?
I'm fully on board the Eagles right now. This was kind of a flip of the coin going into it, but yeah,
Yeah,
Saquon Barkley,
and look, I do
he's a
like the
force to be reckoned
Packers.
with.
Yeah, I absolutely love the Packers, and I think like the Packers like wide receiver core, like I brought up earlier, like I think Watson and Dobbs are like severely underrated. I think Dobbs is like a really good route runner and it's like really efficient and you know catches passes unlike some wide receivers. And you know he does his job extremely well. But I love Jordan Love. Like I mean that's not even like making a joke. I think he's gotten so much better from like his time from like the draft to like now. It's just so much improvement.
Shocking.
In terms of like how he processes the game and like you were talking about earlier, like the eye manipulation in the pocket and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I just think the Eagles have way too much talent on the offensive side, and the defense is good enough to like win ball games. So yeah, I'm all on the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to be really really good this year. Spoiler alert.
Connor also picked the Eagles to win this game, so everyone's on Philadelphia.
Yeah,
Let's go ahead and go to a 4 o'clock game. Everyone's hyping this one up because it's the Tom Brady game, but like he's just calling the game. There's going to be two good teams on the field when the Dallas Cowboys visit the Cleveland Browns. And this is one that I have the most trouble picking because these teams are basically carbon copies of each other
yeah, that's a good call.
in that their run games are extremely unknown quantities. They have decent offensive lines. I think the Cowboys have some question marks. They have a pass rusher that can absolutely demolish games, a second edge rusher that's really good as well. They have corners that are fantastic when they can stay healthy. And in the Cowboys case, why I'm taking the Cowboys, a quarterback that can make big things happen, but not the most clutch guy. And the Browns, Deshaun Watson just hasn't played like an NFL starting capable quarterback since he got to Cleveland. And so that's
Yeah,
why I'm taking Dallas because Deshaun Watson, I just don't trust that he's going to be able to make things happen with this defense in front of him. One of the other similarities is they basically just have one guy and a tight end as their receiving options. The Cowboys have CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson. The Browns have Amari Cooper and David Njoku really came on for them last year when Joe Flacco got to throwing the ball. I think the Browns personally should start Jameis Winston and just tell him, you know what? Every play is 3rd and 10, buddy. Let it rip.
I still believe Jameis is one of those guys where if he actually gets a chance to fully start again, he's gonna be like the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for 5 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in the same game. Like
Let him
it's
do it in
just yeah.
Cleveland.
I mean it's just like insane arm talent, but then just the decision making is just crazy. So yeah, maybe just acting like everything is like backyard football and we're just running around and gonna throw the ball up might be the best strategy if we're gonna put Jameis in. But yeah, and there's something about Jameis too, like rallying people and whatnot. But yeah, I just don't trust Deshaun Watson, and this isn't like a Deshaun Watson hate thing or whatever. Like that's a totally different
I mean, I've got
discussion.
no problem with that, but
Right?
I hate
Yeah,
him.
it's a totally different discussion. But like in terms of like you're right, since he's been in Cleveland, it just hasn't looked good, and I don't know what happened, but it's not the same guy that it was previously. So I'm in on the Cowboys in terms of the defense. I think Micah Parsons, you know, blows the game up. Maybe he gets like a strip sack here or there, and yeah, I love Miles Garrett. I think he's also a huge impact edge rusher, but it's kind of funny. Maybe Ezekiel Elliott like finds the end zone a couple times, like like we'll see. I mean, I don't know. You said like unknown quantities, like unknown running backs, but like Zeke, maybe he has like a resurgence every now and then, like
Maybe.
one game every now and then where it's good stuff. So yeah. Also, as long as CD plays and it looks like CD is going to play, I'll give them the edge. In terms of CD, probably makes a couple of plays here and there down the field that gets the ball moving and you know they win this game by about 7 or so. I would say.
Connor's also got Dallas in this one. Tommy?
it was kind of a flip of the coin for me, to be honest. I have no idea who would even win that one, but I probably
You
would
gotta
just go
pick one of them.
I would just go Cowboys.
All
Well,
right, that's
yeah, just
fair.
go America's team. Like, well,
That's I've always known the Browns to be a bad team. I know that's not true anymore, but just historically, I feel like the Browns were always kind of the bottom of the list, at least when I looked at things. But
All right, let's go ahead and move on
Yeah.
to Sunday Night Football. Rams and Lions. These two met up in the playoffs last year. The Matt Stafford, Jared Goff. You know, once that trade happened, everyone was like, oh, it's a win-win. And yeah, it kind of is because Stafford won a Super Bowl. But now everyone's kind of looking at Goff to be the one that, hey, Lions are good enough to win a Super Bowl, especially this year
yeah,
compared to last year. Now that they have that playoff experience and they've been there together as a team. But this is going to be a game that I think there's going to be a ton of points. The Rams, Aaron Donald retiring, so the entire defensive front, they also traded away linebacker Ernest Jones. So their front seven is going to be just a bunch of people in roles they're not familiar with. Even if they started last year, they're used to playing on a defensive line where, hey, the guy next to me is getting triple teamed, so there's more space for me to operate. That's not the
Right.
case anymore now. But the Lions, I think they just run such a smooth operation with Ben Johnson's really got it going on there. The two-headed monster of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, Sam Laporta, but it's that man Amon-Ra St. Brown that really gets things going for Detroit. I think this is a first to 40 type of game. No
Sure.
defense allowed, and the Lions win this thing.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's going to be high scoring. Don't sleep on Jamison Williams. I mean, I know he's coming off the.
I keep waiting on him.
I mean, I know people keep, but like that guy is truly an athlete. I think at some point this might be his year where he breaks out a little bit. We'll see. I mean, he'll definitely get opportunities because Amon-Ra's probably going to get the bulk share of the cornerback one for most teams. Um, yeah, I don't think there's a lot of like in totality, this is like a general statement about the NFL. I don't think there's a lot of front seven depth in the league right now, in terms of like backup or even like guys who should be starting in the front seven after you get past like the starters. So the fact that the Rams are like replacing basically their entire front seven with like unproven guys makes me feel like this defense is about to be Swiss cheese for a couple of weeks.
I think
Um,
they'll be Swiss cheese for the season.
yeah, I mean, it might be the season. They might figure it out with more experience, more playing time. You know, it might get a little bit better. But I'm with you. I think the Lions are going to score, and they're going to score often. And I do think the Rams are going to put up points. I actually think Cooper Cup's going to be really, really vital for this team because we all know what Nakua can do. But I feel like people forgot about Cooper Cup, and Cooper
Well,
Cup, is
what
still
can Nakua do with Cup healthy? Because Cup wasn't
true.
healthy for a lot of that season last year. So
Yeah,
I'm very curious to see when
Kyron
they're
Williams.
both on the field. Well, also there's a Kyron Williams thing because they drafted Blake Corum, and I do want to see how the Rams kind of divvy up the targets and the carries. And
Yeah,
McVay's also
exactly.
been known to just kind of ride the hot hand.
So with McVay, I think he realizes like he needs to share the wealth a little bit in terms of like it's okay to get Corum a couple touches here. It's okay to get Kyron Williams, goal line touches. I think that both these offenses are gonna have big days. If you're looking for like DFS advice, maybe stack this game in terms of stacking Lions or stacking Rams players. So yeah, I'm in on the Lions winning this game, probably in a shootout. Yeah, so give me Lions.
Connor's on the Lions as well. Tommy?
all for the Lions. I mean, after last season, they were looking good, looking really good. I'm excited to see them destroy the Rams this week.
Yes.
All right, rounding out the top 5 games for
Town.
this weekend, we've got Monday Night Football, the New York Jets and the San Francisco 49ers. Let me tell you, I got some PTS, and throw the D in there as well, when they announced that the New York Jets were going to be playing Monday Night Football
Really
again.
just sit out, Aaron Rodgers. I'm not even kidding. He should have touched it.
And hey, guess what? Adam Schefter really wants to remind everyone that Leonard Floyd's on the 49ers. And that's the same guy that sacked him last year as a member of the Bills.
Adam Schefter's just pointing out the universes.
Adam Schefter, fucking piece of shit. I mean, hey, let's talk about the Jets and the 49ers here. Should be a great game between two teams that I consider to be among the best in the National Football League. You've got the New York Jets coming in, and they have a revamped offensive line with Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses. They bring in John Simpson from the Ravens. Elijah Vera Tucker's healthy now. Garrett Wilson.
Let's hope Aaron Rodgers lasts a couple games.
I will stab you. He's gonna be healthy. Garrett Wilson hoping to play with a actual quarterback this season as opposed to a cucumber with googly eyes on it that was Zach Wilson.
Go ahead. Making Larry the cucumber references. Let's just move on.
Yeah, but the 49ers as well. I mean, I think their offensive line's a bit rough, but I mean they've got all the weapons. They got McCaffrey, Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Debo, and the biggest weapon of them all, Kyle Shanahan. I don't think they have an offensive line.
I mean, who cares?
Trent Williams.
Who cares? They don't need an offensive line.
Pick me. As someone who's heard all season about, well, if the Jets' offensive line gets injured, they might not be very good. It's like, well, the 49ers' offensive line isn't injured, and they're not very good.
I think this is where Kyle Shanahan shines. This is Kyle Shanahan brilliance.
He mitigates it.
He's going to get the ball out of Brock Purdy's hands in under 2 seconds or 2.5 every single play. And they're just going to get it to their playmakers. And, that's Brock Purdy at Iowa State. That's just, let's not push the ball on the field. Let's get it out of our hands. I just think, let's just simplify. Let's get into playmakers' hands and let's do it. And like you were saying, the 49ers have every playmaker on their team that you could possibly want. I think George Kittle is one of the best tight ends in football. And he doesn't even catch passes for them because he's one of the best blockers.
Yeah.
They're just stay in and block because they don't have an offensive line. So, sorry, George Kittle. You won't get that many passes, but, please stay in and block.
I don't think he minds. He's just laughing hysterically while blocking people. So.
Yeah, shout out to Iowa tight ends. But, and speaking of Iowa State, Breece Hall is an absolute monster. I mean,
yes, he is.
He is so good. And I want to say that the Jets, something is going to happen. And it's not going to be this game. But something's going to happen. Why not? Something's going to happen in the middle of the season that's just going to derail this train. But, at the end of the day, I just think they're super talented. I just don't know if I'm picking against Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers.
Let me tell you why I'm picking the Jets to win this game. And someone's like, "Oh, it's because you're a homer." No, I'll gladly pick against the Jets. I am also picking the Jets. I am picking the Jets to win the Super Bowl this year, but that's because I think that on paper, they have the best roster in the NFL.
We are in the hopeful, ambitious, happy-go-lucky Jets fan Mitchell phase. After week 1 or 2, we'll start to see pissed off.
Hey.
Why can't they fucking do anything right? Mitchell phase.
Hey, I didn't think that they were going to do this last year. I just had them they'll get past the wild card round.
I mean, I will say they have supreme talent. Their
best roster in football.
Their linebacking core is good. Their defensive line is good. They have wide receivers at every level. They have a running back who's really good. I mean, they might have the best cornerback duo in the league. And in a league in a league where you're passing the ball as much as everyone is now,
and that is why I'm taking the Jets, because let's take a look at when I think of elite defenses in the National Football League, I think of the Jets, but I think of the Ravens. What happened when Brock Purdy played the Ravens last year? He shit his pants. He threw 4 interceptions on Monday Night Football, and they lost because he just couldn't throw the ball.
That's why we need to simplify the game. We need to
I think about the Chiefs. What happened in the Super Bowl? Brock Purdy couldn't throw touchdowns. He had to have Juwan Jennings throw touchdowns for him because Purdy couldn't shake it. Well, I think about the Browns. When they played the Browns last year, they lost because this guy just couldn't move the ball.
Yeah.
So when Brock Purdy plays elite defenses, he just can't handle it. So, yes, I'm picking the Jets.
No, it's fair. I do think the Jets have one of the best defenses in the NFL. I just think
Thank you.
this is one of those ones where you give Kyle Shanahan all offseason to game plan for a game like this, to basically hone in on we're going to do this week one. I don't think there's a better offensive football mind out there who can script up, the first 15 plays of a game or whatever. I think they're going to get some touchdowns just based off Kyle Shanahan's play calling alone. I mean, they have supreme talent, but I think what's going to happen is they're going to get the ball out of Purdy's hands, like I was saying earlier. It's going to be a lot of like slants, a lot of like beneaths, a lot of dump down screens, and they're going to get into the playmakers' hands, and the playmakers are going to make plays. Like I do think this is going to be a close one though. And I wouldn't be shocked if the Jets won, especially with the healthy Aaron Rodgers. I mean, if Aaron Rodgers is as healthy as everyone says he is and looks as good as everyone says he's been looking, he's one of the most talented. He probably is the most talented quarterback we've seen outside of Mahomes. And that's just talent wise. That's not saying anything about resume or winning or anything like that. Just strictly talent based. He's one of the best to ever do it. And yeah, I'm. It's hard to bet against him unless he starts campaigning for the political trope. But we'll see. Until that point, I do like the Jets this season until something happens where it derails their season. I do believe that's
until something happens.
But
Yeah,
you're
until
picking the
something
Niners.
I'll pick the Niners this week. I like the Jets for most weeks. I will
right.
say that. I think the Jets are going to be really good this year. You were talking earlier in a group message about you haven't seen a 13-4 season, haven't seen a 14-3 season. You might see it this year. Like they're that
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, Connor's got the Niners as well, non-believer. Tommy?
Well, as you know, I'm not a Jets fan in any shape or form. And I get joy every year just watching Mitchell slowly convert from that happy Jets fan. He's like the meme. And I picture the guy from the Ancient Aliens show with the crazy hair, or Charlie Day with his conspiracy board. This is why the Jets can't win. If they do this, and this right, they'll win. But they don't. And he just gets so flustered for the rest of the season. Nothing will go right. So I'm waiting to see what week we get to that point.
No, that's pretty interesting. I know that you're not a Jets fan. You root for the Dolphins, who haven't won a playoff game since Y2K.
Well,
but
we have to be quiet about that because I'm now in the heart of Bills territory, so I can't speak that too loudly.
Yeah. They'll start throwing snowballs at you even though there's no snow outside.
They'll start
They've just been
jumping
harvesting
There's
them.
snow somewhere.
They'll start jumping
I don't
on
know
the
where,
tables.
but it's somewhere.
You're gonna get power drive into a table if you're not careful.
All right, let's get to the rest of these games, rapid fire style. Brandon, your Panthers on the road against the New Orleans Saints. This is essentially the how much do you love football game.
Yeah,
that just about no one will be watching.
Apparently, love football enough to watch
I can't see how any of you guys picked the Panthers.
So
I'm taking the Panthers because I think the Saints are going to be the second worst team in football this year.
Are we picking spread or are we picking?
No, we're picking straight up. I think the
Okay.
Panthers win this game because the Saints' offensive line is a mess, and the Panthers actually did some stuff to clean up their O-line.
Right. So I do think the Panthers O-line is better. I have question marks about exactly where the receiving core is. I do like the addition of Deontay Johnson. That dude is a target machine, and he catches everything. And so I think that's going to help Bryce Young because Bryce Young's problem is not throwing the ball accurately. It's having people actually get open to throw
and
them
block for him.
So if he has any semblance of that this year, I mean, his accuracy rate is some of the best on tight throws in the NFL. He doesn't need a lot of space, and I'm with you. I think Deontay Johnson plays a huge role in this game, and I think Chuba Hubbard also gets the ground game going a little bit. I have the Panthers winning, but that's only because I think the Saints are going to be one of the worst teams.
Connor has the Saints winning. Tommy?
Me and Connor are on the same vote. It's all about the Saints. I can't see anybody losing to the Panthers this season.
I will say this is in New Orleans.
Close, but I don't think
in New Orleans, and opening weekend in New Orleans.
Yeah,
I am a little scared about that.
I think they start clamoring for Spencer Rattler by the third quarter.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I think it's bad.
Talk about arm talent. Talk about QB talent. Spencer Rattler has some throws where you're like, that dude's a stud. So we'll see.
Vikings at Giants. Sam Darnold versus Daniel Jones. This is another. How much do you love football if you're watching this one?
Well,
I've
how
got the
much do you
Giants.
like wide receiver play is what it comes down to.
Yeah, I like the Giants in this game because I think that I don't think the Vikings defense is going to be able to create any problems for the Giants. I actually think Daniel Jones is going to be able to sit, have some time in the pocket, make good throws to guys like Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson, and they'll be able to run the ball decently. Whereas the Giants' defensive front, I could see that kind of speeding up Sam Darnold. And when Sam Darnold gets sped up, bad things tend to happen. So I'll take the Giants to win this one.
Yeah, I like Neighbors. I think actually Neighbors might smash this week. I think he might have a really good week. But
Yeah.
give me the Vikings. I like JJF. I like Addison. I actually like the fact that Aaron Jones is fresh. And a fresh Aaron Jones might be the best version of Aaron Jones this year. Like we'll see in like week 6 or 7. But for now, give me fresh Aaron Jones behind Sam Darnold. I think he makes enough throws. I mean, look, he just needs to get the ball in the catch radius of J. Jeff and Addison, and we're gonna have touchdowns. So yeah, give me the Vikings. But it's not gonna be a pretty game. I actually think those two wide receivers, Neighbors and Jefferson, are probably gonna go for like 100,
140, 150 apiece.
right? Yeah, 140, 150 apiece, and we're gonna see who puts up the most points. Like that's gonna be what happens.
Connor also has the New York Giants. Tommy?
I'm going Vikings, kind of a flip of the card here. I like the Vikings more than I like the Giants, so.
All right, Patriots at Bengals. Patriots, I think, the worst team in football, and
and
God, that feels good to say. Oh my God, I've been waiting decades to say something like that about the New England Patriots.
Maybe Polk ends up being good or something.
Yeah, but I think this game will be closer than some expect because the Bengals tend to come out kind of slow at the beginning of the year.
They did announce that Jacoby Brissett is starting, right?
Yes.
Great call.
And yes, because I think that extended Drake May's life by about 4 years minimum. So yeah, I think we're all on the same page. Bengals win. No need to really spend too much time on this game.
If Burrow's healthy and Chase is on the field, no doubt.
Steelers at Falcons. The Arthur Smith Bowl as the new coordinator, the offensive coordinator for the Steelers. Russell Wilson, his first game as a Steelers quarterback. Kirk Cousins, his first game with the Falcons. I've got Atlanta winning this one just because I think that they're able to make a few more plays than Pittsburgh. They've got the playmakers like Bijan, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, whereas the Steelers, I still don't quite know if Pickens isn't making those plays, who is.
That's fair. I will say I am here for that trio of offensive players breaking out against the Steelers and the offensive-led Arthur Smith, and maybe
a man who held them back.
Just maybe, after a couple of touchdowns, we run down the field and we hand the ball to Arthur Smith, and we say, that is what offense looks like, and then run back to the other sideline. We can only hope. I think Drake London, I think Kyle Pitts are going to absolutely smash. I think when you hear people like Kirk Cousins talk about, look, that Kyle Pitts is one of the most talented people I've seen on a football field. He just needs to like run the route hard. I'm going to put the ball up in the air for him. That's what you love to hear as a Falcons fan is let's put the ball up in the air for these big bodies and have them go for it. So, yeah, I'm on the Falcons all the way.
Connor also on the Falcons. Tommy?
I'm going Steelers on this one just because I like the Steelers better than the Falcons.
No.
Sweet and simple answer for you.
All right. AFC South battle. Texans and Colts. These two met up for the AFC South crown in week 18 of last year.
This is going to be a bloodbath.
I'm still blood. I hope no one dies on the field, Brandon.
We'll see.
I think the Texans have been getting a little bit too much hype. I have them winning the AFC South, but I've heard people say that C.J. Stroud's already a top 3 quarterback in the NFL.
I wouldn't argue with it.
Absolutely
if you
would.
Put him in tier 1. I'm with it.
I currently have him outside my top 10 still. So, but I also think that like 5 through 12 or 13, you could. Good job, Tommy. You could also
See, he
arrange that.
disagrees
And
with your take so bad that he dropped
yeah,
on it.
I love CJ Stroud. Yeah, I do too. I just don't love him as much as everyone else.
So
And I'm definitely I'm taking the Colts in this game
okay,
because I think that the Texans, you can run on the Texans, and run on the Texans the Colts shall. Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson are
yeah,
about to put up stats
I
this week, and
think
I can't wait to see it.
yeah, I think,
Aren't they all going to put up stats, Mitchell?
If how about you
but
go drop another
but,
glass, you know,
but
like
stats in capital letters is what Mitchell said. They're putting up
statistics.
stats.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're putting up statistics. I'm with you. I do have the Colts. I just have a little bit of pushback on the Texans because if we think about it, Texans are adding Stephon Diggs. They have Nico Collins. They have Tank Dell. They have Damian Pierce. They added what other running back did they add?
Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon's probably going to beat someone. You know, like.
He has
Sorry,
history of that.
sorry, that was a joke. At the end of the day, I think, yeah, I just think the Colts are going to run the ball all over them. But don't sleep on the Texans in this division. I think the Texans are really, really good, and I think C.J. Stroud is probably one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, and I think he's going to prove it this week when he throws the ball to Tank Dell, 3 times over the top. Stephon Diggs catch the ball, 7 or 6 times, and Nico Collins gets his touches. Just watch out. This is going to be a high-scoring game, I think.
So who are you picking?
I said Colts.
Oh, okay,
Sorry.
because you said Colts
Sorry.
and then you said nothing but good things about the Texans.
Yeah, but
So-
I mean, it comes down to the fact that
Look, the man's heart is torn in two, Mitchell. Give him some
it's
slack.
torn in two. I like the Colts offense with Pittman, with Downs. I like Richardson. I like Taylor, but
Downs is out, right?
yeah, I
I
think
don't
he's
think Downs
out.
is playing.
But which sucks. But at the end of the day, I think the Texans give up a little too much yards on the ground. I do agree with you. I think the rushing yards in this game are going to be big.
Connor's got the Texans. Tommy?
I got the Texans as well. I mean, they came off strong at the end of the last season, so I think they're going to keep. I mean, the Colts definitely have something to prove, but I think the Texans will pull out this week.
All right, let's go to Buffalo. Cardinals at Bills. This
No
is one.
conversation needed there.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, because I think that if you were to pick the Cardinals, someone would come out behind you and strangle you to death.
Exactly.
So
Um,
I think we're all on the Bills, but I will say
yes, we
Kyler
are.
Murray is going to be very good this year, as long as he stays off Call of Duty.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a game where a lot of points are on the board. Cardinals are going to be a fun team to watch. That doesn't necessarily translate into wins this season, but I think it will once they start adding to the defense.
I think
All
James
right.
Conner.
I just need
Marvin
Buffalo to do
Harrison.
very well because I have Buffalo Sweetheart as my starting QB this week for my fantasy team.
Oh, okay.
So I need them to do well.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I also have Josh Allen in a lot of leagues.
I have Robert Saleh's bitch as my quarterback as well in a league. So Bills winning that one. Titans at Bears, the long-awaited debut of Caleb Williams.
So long-awaited.
I think the Bears are going to make the playoffs this season. I've heard some people. I've heard some people push back on that. I've also heard some people say that they're going to go to the damn Super Bowl. I'm nowhere near that. But I think the Bears come out of the gate, guns blazing, Caleb Williams throwing all over the place on the Titans, and I think that the hype train starts out, chugga, 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 shoot, shoot.
I think the offense is absolutely sick. I think Swift, Adunze, Moore, adding Keenan Allen, I think Caleb Williams for the foreseeable future has some weapons in Chicago. Might be too early to say this. I think Caleb Williams might prove that he's going to be a top 6, top 5 QB in the NFL in about 3 or 4 weeks. So I think it starts early. Like you said, hype train starts now.
All right. Connor's got the Bears as well. Tommy?
I'm going Titans again. It was a flip of the coin for me. Look, a lot of these.
Well, there has to be like a pick against.
I don't.
You're that guy. You're picking against the hype.
I don't give a flying fuck about either team, so I flipped the coin and I went with Titans.
All
Who
right.
has it worse than us?
They both
Nashville,
had
but who
mediocre.
cares?
They both had mediocre seasons last season. So I went Titans, and maybe they'll prove me wrong.
I will say real quick, Mitchell. I think Will Levis is going to have an improved year. So
I think he is too.
if anything, I could see the Titans winning this game, but I think the Bears are just going to score too many points, to be honest. But we'll see.
Jacksonville at Miami. This is my favorite game of the 1:00 window
Yeah,
because
fuck
I think.
you with the Jaguars prediction. Spoiler
Yeah,
alert.
love
Okay,
that.
well,
you.
let me get into that. Miami does have a chance to win this game because the temperature is within reason for the Dolphins.
Within
Once it gets a
reason, the sun's
yeah,
going to be blazing on Jacksonville's sideline. See you
but
later,
J-
bud.
but
Like,
but Jacksonville can handle that because they're also from Florida.
nah,
I just don't
think it's
trust
different.
the Dolphins' interior yet. Their offensive line, I think, is a disaster, and they're already injured. Their defensive line, they've got injuries, like Bradley Chubb's not going to be playing. And I think that this is going to be the season where, if there was any doubt that Trevor Lawrence is a top 5 quarterback, and I wouldn't put him there right now, but I think after this year, he is going to be a consensus top 5 quarterback in the National Football League, and that begins here. I
Okay.
think I think the Trevor Lawrence MVP discussions begin this week when he lights up Miami. I've got Jacksonville winning this one, this being a big Trevor game.
So I think this is going to be a shootout. Like I think there's going to be a ton of points scored. I think A
Yes.
Chain's going to get his. I think Tyreek Hill is going to get his. Waddle. I think there's going to be a ton of points on the board. I have the Dolphins in this one, but I just want to point out, Mitchell, that C.J. Stroud won the division last year,
He's not in
and
this
you
game.
you don't consider him like a top 10, top 5 quarterback, but yet we're putting Trevor Lawrence in the top 5 discussion.
I don't think Trevor Lawrence is top 10 right now. I think that Lawrence is 11 and Stroud is 12. But I think that this year, Lawrence is going to have that season that puts him up there.
I will say I love Trevor Lawrence. I've been waiting for like the breakout season. I hope
This
it
is
happens
the year,
this year.
Brandon.
I hope it happens this year. I will say there's too many cooks in the kitchen in terms of top 5 QBs. I think your breakout that you're looking at is probably Stroud or Caleb Williams more than Lawrence. But I do
Or
like
Jordan
Lawrence.
Love, too.
Well, yeah, Jordan Love. I do think Lawrence is going to have a real step up this year in terms of his talent. So, yeah. Give me the Dolphins, though, in this one. Too much firepower. Too much points.
Connor's got Miami as well. All right, Tommy.
Do I even need to say it?
Yeah,
It's always Dolphins, baby.
Yep, it's always fins up, baby. Fins up.
All right, Broncos at Seahawks. Bo Nix getting his first start as the Broncos quarterback. I think this has Geno lighting up Denver written all over it. I think that the Seahawks, they want to throw the ball all across the yard this season, and I think that gets off to a big start. Give me Seattle big over Denver. And I'm not even low on the Broncos like a lot of people are. I think Bo Nix has a good season, but I think that Seattle just pedal to the metal this game.
I think this is my Twilight Zone game. You know, something's just gonna happen. You know, it's gonna be a high scoring game. Bo Nix is gonna find a way to put points on the board. Javonte Williams is gonna have a bounce back season. I think we're looking at like a 24 to like 18 score, or 24 to 31 type final. I do like the Seahawks in total for this season, but give me the Broncos this week. I got to have a against the grain pick, and I think this is the one with the Broncos.
Connor went with the Seahawks. Tommy?
I also went with the Seahawks. No opinion here.
All right. Raiders at Chargers. Last year, the Raiders hung like 65 on the Chargers, and the Chargers fired everyone after the game. It's not the same Raiders team. They're not starting Aiden O'Connell this time around. This time they have an actual NFL quarterback. Maybe not a starting quarterback, but an NFL quarterback in Gardner Minshew. The Chargers, they also got rid of all their receiving weapons. So I'm going with the Raiders to win this game. I'm very low on the Chargers this year. So I've got Vegas on the road sending a message to the Chargers that, hey, Harbaugh, it's going to be a long season. I trust you long term, but this might not be the year.
Yeah, this is just one of those ones where on the road, I just don't think the Raiders. I mean, to be honest, the Chargers, it's not a home field advantage. They don't have a home field advantage. But I don't think the Raiders have a traveling section either. So I think this game's going to be very boring in terms of crowd noise and whatnot. And I think that plays in the Chargers' favor. So I actually like the Chargers in the sense that I think J.K. Dobbins, I think Gus Bus, I think that's a good deal in the backfield. And then, yeah, I think they're going to find a receiving weapon at some point in this game with Herbert. And we got to remember Herbert. I think finally has a competent offensive mind behind him in Los Angeles, and I think that's important. So, yeah, give me the Chargers. But again, this is kind of like we're just picking against the grain here with the Chargers. I do like the Raiders more overall in the season, but week one, something weird's going to happen in one or a couple of these games. So this is the weird one for me as well.
Connor also picked the Chargers. Tommy?
Kind of similar reasons to you, Mitchell. I'm going with Raiders with this one because after last season, there's no coming back from that. Eventually,
a year later,
but not this year.
Yeah, fair.
All right, final game. Washington Commanders with their rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels going on the road against the NFC South champions of last year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This was a tough one for me to pick because I feel like this is just going to be a game where it's going to come down to just one play. Whoever can make the biggest play. And I really wanted to take Washington because I feel like Jaden Daniels has the game-breaking ability to do that. However, I don't trust him against the Todd Bowles defense in game one to not make the big mistake when a lot of the decisions that he had to make at LSU last year were just like, oh, wow, Malik Neighbors is 10 yards away from any defender. Oh, wow, Brian Thomas is 8 yards away from any defender.
See,
I wonder where I should throw the ball.
I thought the same thing, but then, C.J. Stroud had that at Ohio State where, like, the guys were just running free, and we saw how that played out. I like Jaden Daniels as a QB.
I do too.
Give me the Commanders. Not for a whole lot of reasons. This is a toss-up for me, but I just think the Bucs might get off on the wrong foot in terms of they might just lose a home game they're not supposed to. So yeah, give me the Commanders. But it's a toss-up really. I do like the Commanders more in the season in terms of I think they're going to be better than people think they're going to be. So give me a good surprise win here with the Commanders.
Connor does not agree with you. He's got Tampa. Tommy, finish us off.
Tampa Bay all the way. I hate
all
the
right.
I despise them.
All right. Well,
I think it's a silly name.
Not fair.
Hatred rules the day.
Week
one of the NFL season. Very excited for it. And if anyone was wondering, yes, I did do a 16-leg parlay of all of my picks. I put $1 on it. And if that hits, I am $16,248 richer. So my wedding will be paid for.
Yeah, you're going to slide me $1,000 if that happens.
No, my wedding will be paid for.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, so that's what would happen if that if that hits. So thank you for listening. Next week we'll talk about week 2 and what our takeaways from week 1 were. Brandon, good to have you on to talk about week 1. And Tommy, always good to talk to you as well. Thanks for listening and enjoy, get whatever drinks, get whatever food you want, get the people that you want to watch the game with, and just enjoy football being back because the countdown, it's over. It's here now. Enjoy.
Well, we still got 2 more days, but it's here.
Tommy, shut the hell up. The countdown is over and enjoy. Thank you for listening.